because we do hear and talk to schools, and they're putting hours into creating newsletters in Publisher, converting them to a PDF and sending them out via email. And they think they're doing everything right. And the newsletters, they're doing a great job creating something in Publisher that takes hours. Then it gets to mum and dad on their phone and they can't read it because it's not mobile supported, and they're doing the old squint and they just give up. And it's just sad because you're taking 4 hours of your day trying to format something on a platform that is outdated, let's face it.
Yeah.
And then we also get that with schools, they get a lot of legacy products, because there's a lot of staff changing. So someone's brought in this and then it got used for a bit, and then someone comes in and it's brought this. So if there are schools out there that are listening, and again, easy for me to say, go and do an audit of your software. But you should go and do an audit of your software and see what's out there and what you're paying for and what you don't need anymore. Schoolzine's the first to say to schools, if you're using and paying for our products that are overlapping with maybe something in your student management system, we will say you don't need that. Because if someone's really confident in their core products and confident in what a company is bringing to a school, they're not scared to say, try to work out where to save them some money.
No.
Yeah, we're not. And I think, unfortunately, probably over the last decade, schools have had a lot of unnecessary tech shoved down their throat.
Dion Guthrie, welcome to the Schoolyard Cast.
Thanks, Alex. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, look, my absolute pleasure. Might as well get straight into it. So Schoolzine has been involved with schools since 2007. That's right, isn't it?
Correct.
Fantastic. So are you able to go into a little bit more detail about what Schoolzine brings to a school in its community?
Can do. Great question off the bat. Things schools like to hear, it brings unlimited onshore support, but yeah, that's probably not the answer that you're looking for, but that's what schools love to hear. Schoolzine brings products and experience that have been built for schools but by schools. The whole product suite is just an extension of what schools have asked us for the last 17 years. We're in the communication space. We started in newsletters. They're still our flagship product. So schools telling us what makes their lives easier when it comes to building a newsletter and communicating with their parents and facilitating the creation of content that highlights student achievement. It's probably the big thing we do well and bring to schools, I think.
Fantastic. And building a Schoolzine newsletter, that's just done within a normal internet browser on a computer, isn't it? It's no sort of specialised software, is there?
No, correct. Yeah, definitely cloud-based, very easy to use. If I can do it, I'm not the techie guy, anyone can do it.
That's fantastic, because you think about a school and there's obviously a lot of people who are wearing multiple hats, that's for sure, and it's very unlikely that you would be able to come across a school who would have one person dedicated just to school correspondence or even school newsletters and things like that. So it is easy to pick up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think that's definitely what you've just said there. Schools, everyone within a school is wearing multiple hats. I've never seen an industry where that is more true. From a principal, their skill set and what they have to deal with day to day is mind blowing. Admin staff, answering phones, band-aiding knees, dealing with upset parents, dealing with overly happy, engaged parents, what they have to deal with is phenomenal. So yeah, definitely when we build out our products, we build it with that in mind. And it's not just our products. Schoolzine's probably most famous for its unlimited telephone support and training. It's got our hand-holding policy. We know when a school calls us, we have to pick up the phone. So there's two things we do really well. We give them products that work first time, and we pick up the phone when schools call us, because we know if a school needs an alert out, they need an alert out. It's not like, thank you for your inquiry, someone will be in touch in 8 hours. It just doesn't work in the school space. So
No.
yeah, easy to use, but the support's pretty phenomenal as well. Something I'm really proud of with the company is our customer success team are the best in the business.
Oh, fantastic. And speaking of schools, even across borders, essentially, in exciting news, you've been working across the Torres Strait region. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called our Websites for Schools project. Started just a little bit of I guess I was thinking, what can we do? Something a bit different. How can we give back to the global community? Schoolzine's been, pretty lucky to be across 19 countries, and everyone in the company, some of us have travelled, but everyone has had exposure to other countries and how they work. So I sent out an email to some schools in Fiji saying, would you like a free website? I thought about 10 would put their hand up, about 100 put their hand up. So we knew there was a need.
Wow.
And from there, we started to build out the websites and engage with their communities. What was really nice is the feedback we got from those schools. Like, this is their first step on their digital journey. Like, they went from, in some cases we were setting up their school email account so they could get domains and get everything started to even go on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had schools calling us up crying because they're now their school has a presence, a digital presence. Their kids were excited to be part of the photos that were going on the website. So the flow-on effect was massive. So yeah, definitely a project we're proud of, and we're hoping will grow. The Pacific's a big place.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it goes without saying, the online space is also a big place. And I think you've just brought up a very important point where it's a case of where, technologically speaking, you have to walk before you can run, and setting out all of those sort of base requirements to be able to engage in like what Schoolzine can offer a school and a school community, and for you to be able to provide support on both ends of the spectrum. That it is a massive credit. So no, that's really, really good. Now, speaking of the Schoolzine's head office, now that's on the Sunshine Coast of Australia, but you are truly a remote company now, aren't you?
Yeah, certainly. I think, like a lot of companies, after COVID, we re-looked at the need for a big fancy office. And we didn't go back. I think it was the right call from our new CEO at the time, who's done very well, Dan. Definitely the right call. We now have a much larger skill set we can pick from. We've got some of our developers, I think one's in Spain at the moment on a bit of a working holiday. We've got people in Sydney now that are doing some stuff for us. So yeah, to be able to pick from a much larger skill set, but also just experience as well, and backgrounds. Schoolzine, we want to connect all people to their community. So to do that effectively, and we need all different skill sets and experience and backgrounds within the company. And the remote side of it has allowed us to really grow out that vision. So that's been great.
Well, no, that's fantastic to hear. And yes, that leads me into my next question now. The role of head of global sales, to me anyway, sounds quite intimidating. Do you see challenges that schools face consistently across the board when you work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess to answer that, Schoolzine recognises every school is different. Every school is its own organisation, and it has its own communities and niche wants and requirements. But then they are quite similar when it comes to the core needs, which is engaging their community. We all agree, everyone in education, whether you're in ed tech or you're a teacher or you're an admin staff, everyone agrees that if you engage the parents in the student's school life, it leads to better educational outcomes. So that's always a challenge or something schools to be looking to improve. So yeah, the most common challenge we see or behaviour from schools is that they don't look at what they were doing and look to be proactive and improve it. Schools are doing a million things, so it's easy for them to fall into, like, we've always done it that way, and it may have worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but is it still working now? And even if they do look at it, they also then have to have the resource and the time to go and find ways to change it. So we understand the difficulties that they're facing when it comes to changing tech, improving comms, like moving with the digital, at the digital age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard to keep up, and we're in tech, right? Like for a school to be able to keep up when they're managing hundreds of kids and staff, it's a big ask.
Absolutely, it's most oftentimes the biggest of asks because as schools, no doubt, essentially combat an environment, there are lots of incoming options in terms of software and technology that can theoretically be utilised, but making sure that, one, it's cost efficient, and B, members of your staff can be able to use it to its full potential, and C, get that out in a professional, formal capacity to the school community. It's just so important. And I guess, and you touched on this before too, Dion, the service arm of Schoolzine receives a lot of praise, and it's well deserved, essentially, from what I hear, that's for sure. Are you able to tell me more about that in a bit more of detail, and any other initiatives that set you apart as an organisation?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things pop to mind. One is, I don't know if we coined the phrase. Maybe we should just say that we did. So obviously there's, SaaS, software as a service, but we like to think of ourselves as software with a service. So basically that means you can purchase the Schoolzine product, download it, and never talk to us again if you want. You don't have to engage with us. It is really easy to use. There's robust tutorials and knowledge-based platforms. But we like the fact that schools do engage with us, and we do have the service offering to, actually complete website upgrades for you, or we still build newsletters for schools that need us to do it for whatever reason. So the service part is definitely there. One of our, I don't know if it made it onto our kind of customer success vision board, but I remember one of the guys said we need to treat everyone as you treat your grandparents. So with that respect, and basically don't get frustrated at people because they don't know how to do something right away. No. And a lot of the guys in our office who are very, very techie can speak really fast and use a lot of acronyms and do a lot of keyboard shortcuts when they're doing demos. And it's like, just remembering that that's your skill set. The skill set in a school is a lot different, but just as important. Like our products and service are there to facilitate what they're doing, which is running a school. So that'll be good. Are you? Sorry, mate. Are these popping up?
Absolutely. It's the and again, you bring up an important point too, and especially for an organisation like Schoolzine or like a learning management system or something like that provides a core service to schools. It's sometimes a challenge for people who work on behalf of those organisations to realise that their involvement, so either their LMS or even Schoolzine, would only form a small part of a person's day. Like they don't get to spend the entire day on Schoolzine or an LMS or something like that to get it absolutely everything perfect. So the exposure that you have for a limited time, you have to get the most that you possibly can out of it. No, I think that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to, whatever like ed tech or platform you're selling to schools, you've got to realize that that is your life. Like I live and breathe Schoolzine. I wake up thinking about it, go to bed thinking about it. Hopefully everyone else in the office does as well, but I doubt it. But like that's not a school's life. Like we've got to understand there's people using our products that don't even know what they're called or like where the company's from. It's like, yeah, you just got to be mindful and respect that, as you said, we're not the biggest part of their world. You know, I think good software is used and you don't even know you're using it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And it's only when it's taken away from you that you're like, well, that was a big part of my day. But it shouldn't be us or anyone kind of
absolutely
shoving it down their throats, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense, Dion. So would you say that Schoolzine's customer service team is central to how you both grow and maintain your relationships to schools?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is the biggest part of our company. I want it to be the biggest part of the company, and it's definitely getting that way. I mean, a good customer success team is also a good sales team, right? Anyone that works in this tries to sell products to schools, we all know it's word of mouth. Like that's the best thing. Like, so if a school likes you, respects you, they're going to sell the product for you. So yeah, the customer success team that do a great job is core to everything we do.
Absolutely. And look, it's obvious that you have a passion about helping schools engage with their communities and beyond. Let's get into the nitty-gritty for a moment then. One idea is the push versus pull mindset for schools to be able to use the correct tools to essentially deliver the right content to a school community. Are you able to elaborate on that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, certainly. So when I think of push and pull, and whenever I'm talking about that and using those words in a school, it's normally after the question, we've got our school website, why do we need a newsletter or how should it differ? So Schoolzine believes your website is a window into your school. Your newsletter is your bragging piece, showcasing to your existing parents everything your students are doing. So to get someone to a website, you're pulling them to the website. There has to be a reason for them to get there. When it comes to engaging a community and growing a community, you need to push information to them. It's unrealistic to think, mum or dad's going to remember every week at a certain time to go to a website and look for information. So that's the push versus pull. You're pulling people to a website. They have to really have a strong reason to go to your website. So it could be they're moving to that location. They need to find the best school, or they want to see what your school's all about. Your existing parents, they shouldn't need to go to your website all the time.
No.
Because if they do need to, you're in trouble because they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, you've got to push info to them. And the info you're pushing to them also has to be engaging. So absolutely. When I say engaging, there's two things when I think of engaging. One is the content's cool, pictures, videos, but also how it's delivered. All right. So it's got to be mobile and tablet supported. It's got to go out via email or a push notification. Yeah. So I hope I've answered that in a roundabout way.
Oh, no. I would say that is bordering on concise, Dion. No, it's fantastic because it is difficult because, and it isn't just schools, but it's lots of businesses, large and small. Sometimes you can get swamped with the amount of tools that you have available to you. and being able to make sure that you're not only using those tools correctly and getting the most out of them for the amount of time that you can spend on them, it's also making sure that you're using them in a correct manner as well. And that's where content, it means so much, because if you're going to the trouble of creating content and you fall short accidentally by not delivering it in a way that would get best exposure, then you do certainly run into pitfalls, don't you?
Yeah, and that's a great point, because we do hear and talk to schools, and they're putting hours into creating newsletters in Publisher, converting them to a PDF and sending them out via email, and they think they're doing everything right. And the newsletters, they're doing a great job creating something in Publisher that takes hours. Then it gets to mum and dad on their phone and they can't read it because it's not mobile supported, and they're doing the old squint and they just give up. And it's just sad, because you've taken 4 hours of your day trying to format something on a platform that is outdated, let's face it.
Yeah.
And then we also get that with schools, they get a lot of legacy products, because there's a lot of staff changing. So someone's brought in this and then it got used for a bit, and someone comes in and it's brought this. So if there are schools out there that are listening, and again, easy for me to say, go and do an audit of your software. But you should go and do an audit of your software and see what's out there and what you're paying for and what you don't need anymore. Schoolzine's the first to say to schools, if you're using and paying for our products that are overlapping with maybe something in your student management system, we will say you don't need that. Because if someone's really confident in their core products and confident in what a company is bringing to a school, they're not scared to say, try to work out where to save them some money.
No.
Yeah, we're not. And I think, unfortunately, probably over the last decade, schools have had a lot of unnecessary tech shoved down their throat.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I think that is resetting a bit now, and the people left in the market are the ones that are doing the right thing by schools.
Absolutely. And you, again, touch on what I think is a very important point too, just before, when you spoke about essentially like succession planning or handover of knowledge and materials in a school environment, because you do have school officers or administrators that might be around a particular school for quite a long career and things like that. And what is obviously possibly second nature to them to whip up a publisher document and do a PDF, and that's how it's worked for the last 10 years. When a new person or a new colleague comes in to work, that information, they're essentially at the mercy of whatever gets handed down to them. And I guess with the customer service team with Schoolzine, being able to log on to a website portal, being able to log on and call the service team and have everything in a consistent environment to be able just to have the rubber meet the road and get a school's content out there to a school community, it just means everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have definitely done our homework and done a lot of work to streamline that. We just want our tech to be in the background that helps you send a lot of photos bragging about your kids, their student achievements, to their parents. In its simplest form, that's what we want you guys to do. Our platform does do a lot more. Like, we've got booking system, calendars, and all that. But for me, how the company started was, how do we help schools showcase everything they're doing and get everything they're doing, showcase, brag, this is what your students are doing, and get it to parents so they see, and get it to busy parents, because every parent's busy. So yeah, at its core, that's what I hope we do well.
Yeah. You mentioned Schoolzine since the early days. Now, you were managing director of Schoolzine previously. Can you tell me a bit more about your career journey up until now?
Yeah, still am managing director, believe it or not.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, I started with the company. It was a year old. It was in an incubator on the Sunshine Coast. Um, Started in the advertising department. They couldn't, as all startups, didn't really have any money to pay anyone. So they're like, do you want to kind of sweat equity set up and come in, Dion, and work your bum off for nothing, and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, rolled the dice, decided to do that.
Fantastic. So
Then,
even
yeah.
before like Schoolzine, like where did the passion come from to be able to essentially do your utmost and contribute to school communities?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, grew up on the Sunshine Coast. Did uni on the Sunshine Coast, business management and marketing. So, pretty broad kind of degree. It was really just my first job, to be honest. It wasn't like a career job that I got into, but I quickly fell in love. And this is so weird for even hearing me say, like, with tech. I'm like, I don't write code, didn't own a laptop all through uni, but
Yeah.
seeing how tech can, I guess, be used to help people, as corny as that sounded, it was I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I haven't seen tech being created to solve a problem. I guess it was. I thought tech, your laptop, you hand your assignments in, but this was like, how do we get a bunch of people in the room, get their pain points, and use tech to solve it? And it just kind of grew from there. I've always had the gift of the gab, so like I was always put into the sales role. Like you just sell down and talk. And it kind of just grew from there. And the founders of the company gave me a great opportunity, which I'm eternally grateful for. Most of them are reaping the rewards for the hard work that they've done in the business. And yeah, now there's I guess a new generation of people coming through Schoolzine to take it to the next level. But yeah, I didn't really have any kind of an exciting career progression until then. Did all the same stuff, cafe to bars. Yeah.
Be quite an active scene there on the Sunshine Coast, I would imagine.
Well, the one place was active. That was about it. It's changed a lot now, but yeah.
Fantastic. So, yeah, look, Dion, it is very apparent that you enjoy your work. Would you say that both yourself and Schoolzine share similar goals and core values with your relationship to schools?
Oh, sorry, mate. You just cut out a little bit there.
Oh, did I cut out? I'm sorry. That's all right.
I could have been that Sunshine Coast internet connection that's always failing. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. It was more like, so do my personal values and goals align with the values and goals of the company?
Yeah, just because it is apparent that you enjoy your work, Dion, and that's what Schoolzine provides as a service. I would imagine that would be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I definitely feel, everyone wants to have a great work-life balance, and Schoolzine is definitely a company that wants its employees to have a work-life balance. In the tech world, you definitely you get the most out of your staff if there is that balance. So that's a personal goal and a great goal for the company because they align. I guess, how I've been brought up is to treat others how you would like to be treated. I do think the company does that very well, and that is led by our customer success and support team. The fact that we are always available to take a phone call, and we have goals within the company to fix issues within a certain amount of time. It's because we are being sympathetic to our client schools who are nurturing and growing the next generation. So I do feel my goal to help schools do that in tech is represented across everyone in the company. Yeah, I hope I've answered that one.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And showcasing achievements of schools is just so important for so many reasons, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always think there's, I guess, three pillars in a community, right? You got your schools, your churches, and your pubs.
That's right. Cool pillars.
Pubs, you can't really, they're making enough money. They got that stuff under control. So I think being behind a product that helps one of those pillars engage with the community is really motivating. And I do think schools get, especially principals, do get dragged across the coals. Like, you only hear from parents when something's going wrong. The most vocal parent groups within schools are normally the ones where, something's going wrong.
Yeah.
Schools are very busy. So, the word proactive in a school, I get that that's like, it's not always possible. So if we can help them showcase student achievement again, which, might, way I look at it is, you've got your disengaged parents that might get, upset, or, they don't like a uniform policy or something like that. Maybe they'll be a bit more softer if they saw their kids in the newsletter, and it wasn't just the same kids in the newsletter all the time for whatever reason. They're good at sport, they're good at maths. So
yeah, or even worse, just white paper with black text that's been sent out 5 weeks in a row enforcing the uniform policy.
Yeah, if that was my newsletter, I'd be upset as well. So, newsletters, they're meant to be good news, right? It's good news. It should be called a good newsletter. Like that's what they were for. That's how they started. That's what every other industry uses them for. Good news, right? It's celebrating what's happening in real estate, or like, banks. Like, oh, interest rates are going down. Let's send a newsletter. It's celebrating good stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Schools are the only industry where it's also vital information going out through them as well. So I do get they got to balance it, but yeah, it should be like at least 70-30.
Yeah.
Fun, good stuff. Yeah, I think we got off topic a little bit there, but
well, look, I respectfully disagree, Dion, because if you're reading correspondence from a school and the only content that you are being offered to be able to, again, it's like very similar to a person working in a school where they may only have a finite amount to work with Schoolzine, so the juice has to be worth the squeeze with the time that you spend with it. Much the same can be said with a parent, because like more often than not, it might be a parent, especially back in the older days, reaching into a child's school bag and pulling out a crumpled piece of paper, and there's the newsletter. And for those next 5 seconds, a school can only hope that you've got their point that they're trying to make across. It's almost the same thing with emails now. If an email doesn't catch your eye, if there isn't a nice flyer, if there isn't a nice consistent style guide, you just have so much to lose as a school who is putting so much effort into content and celebrating achievement, where it may possibly just be lost in the 5 or 10 seconds that you may just get from a parent or a guardian if the content and the way it's presented isn't engaging enough.
Yeah, you've nailed it. And I think it's so simple it gets overlooked. Like, I think it just needs to be said. Like, schools should not be sending home PDF newsletters. No one else does it. Like, no other industry does it. And there's very simple reason for it. Is like, the user, the parent, the person in your community, they will not read it.
No.
So yeah, it definitely didn't come on here to tell schools what they're doing wrong. But yeah, and it is sad, frustrating. I don't know what the word is, but they're putting in a lot of time creating this content, And I think even that it's not even the Schoolzine tech, pretty much any technology out there now around content creation, anything that's out there that has survived, it is easier to create in that platform than it is to create in the old way. So you're actually taking longer to create it in the old style of creating it, and then you're actually sending it out and it can't be read. So there's just fails upon fails upon fails.
Yeah.
And I do think it's the responsibility of the governing bodies and the dioceses, and they're doing it well. Like there's multiple government agencies that are engaged Schoolzine to kind of roll this out, and dioceses. So because again, schools, and we're in the world of it, but schools just don't know what's out there. So they don't know that there's an easier way of doing it. You know, the hardest thing for Schoolzine to get its products out there and our knowledge out there and our experience is just getting people within a school to be able to chat for 20 minutes. You know, it's because they're busy. When we do get to chat, it's a new world. They're blown away. They're like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And we're like, it's all right.
Well, that's right. And if you're able to contribute to a daily routine or a daily process where they're able to create content in a manner that looks good and can also at the same time be delivered easy to a school community, even if you're shaving off minutes a day, tens of minutes, it just means everything to a school, especially smaller ones with a smaller front office and most times teachers who are obviously also teaching but maybe doing those roles as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Fantastic. So looking back, Dion, do you have any specific values that you take with you to this day, even from your own education, like time as a student, when even the early days of Schoolzine or anything like that? Do you still have any that define who you are and what you try to be and what you try to essentially represent yourself to schools?
Yeah. Great question. I think one I touched on before, the treat others how you want to be treated is definitely ingrained in me from an early age from my wonderful mother. And I think that statement kind of includes everything, right? You want to be, you want people to be honest with you, so you're honest with them. You want people to help you when you need help, so you help them when they need help. So maybe that kind of value says a lot.
Does it? It certainly encompasses a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think playing with a straight bat as well, right? Definitely in the business world. Australia is a big place, but it's not that big.
No.
And gets even smaller when you step into the ed tech world. There's everyone's kind of come up through the ranks together over the last 15 years, and if you're still here and you've made it through everything, we all know each other, and the people that respect each other is because the people that have played with the straight bat and been honest since the day dot. When we were all in incubators, we were all trying to make, wages meet from week to week, and we were all there helping each other. So I think that's a core value. But again, that does lead to you just treat other people how you want to be treated. So you just be straight up with them. Don't muck them around.
Well said. No, certainly I subscribe to that, and very well said, Dion. Tell me, what is the best way for people to reach out and keep up to date with you?
Yeah. So Schoolzine is trying to be a lot more vocal and available on digital platforms. So we've started a YouTube channel up. We've got a YouTube channel, and there's one called Learn with Schoolzine. So keep an eye out for that. But if you're wanting to talk about things in a more broader sense, probably like my LinkedIn. But if you're a school or a principal that just needs help at the grassroots level with a website or a newsletter or any of our products, it would just be through our website. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy for you to share my email address too, Andrew, Alex. Sorry, mate.
No worries at all. No, I will do that. I'll certainly the pop-up would have come up under there for all of those details. So, look, thank you very much for your time, Dion. And more importantly, thank you very much for coming on to the Schoolyard Cast.
Yeah, no, thank you, Alex. What you're creating is good. Like this info needs to be out there, and no, so I commend you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
No worries at all. Thank you. Until next time, Dion.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye.